What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Double Coverage, the premier NFL podcast of the Gin Sports Network. My name is John Jay II. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on a Thursday, the 23rd of January, a day that will live in infamy. Okay, so let's just rewind 3 years. Okay, and this is notable. This is worthy of explanation. This is worthy of rewriting history on January 23rd, 2022, we had the AFC divisional game. Okay, they got to spread games out a little bit more back then. They had less games, etc. They had some more weeks to play with. They were in the divisional on this day back 3 years ago. Okay, you got the Bills. You got the Chiefs. All right, I believe we're playing at Arrowhead. I believe. Okay, usually they have so many primetime games at Arrowhead, it sickens me. But basically, what it boiled down to is the wrong call on a coin toss. You got a shootout. You got a hell of a game going on. You got a electric game going on. You really can't take your eyes away from the TV because it's such a good game. It's a shootout. It's going back and forth. Josh Allen, Patty Mahomes are going right, back and forth, jab for jab. It's really just a huge, very entertaining game. You get the wrong call by Josh Allen going into OT. And the Chiefs win 42-36 in OT. Okay. This was the precedent-setting game that changed the rules for overtime in the playoffs in the NFL. Okay. Now, obviously, the rules are drastically different in the college game, as we know. I like how it's done. You go back and forth, and it's kind of like who can provide the best offense and whose defense is going to stun this offense and stop them. We've seen upwards of 6, 7, 8 overtimes this past college season, which was astonishing to watch. And I just think it's more entertaining. I think there's more fireworks. There's no potential for a team to have a tie on their record, which I think is just abysmal. That should never happen, anyways. But it came down to the wrong call on the coin toss, and I have a picture of my mirror at my parents' house with my Josh Allen jersey on, just sad. And you can go on my Instagram and look at it, especially for the people that are saying that I'm a bandwagoner, fair weather Bills fan. That couldn't be further from the truth. Okay. Couldn't be further from the truth. But that game hurt. And what do we have in the AFC Championship? We have the Bills, and we have the Chiefs, and we have a game at Arrowhead. Okay. We're playing an AFC Championship game at Arrowhead, and it's the Bills and the Chiefs. I mean, it's a rivalry that has been born from two young quarterbacks, two pioneers at the quarterback position in the game that we love, that we watch week after week. We lose sleep over these games. We bet our hard-earned money on these games. These two are pioneers. They're pioneering a new age of a new rivalry within the NFL. We love to see it. We love to be here for it, between the Chiefs and between the Bills, Chiefs and Bills. So listen, we got a hell of a contest this Sunday. We're going to be elated. We're going to be happy to watch it. We're going to be, just going crazy out of our minds watching this game. So big game, but just as we're talking about the AFC Championship and as it remains relevant, we have to acknowledge the elephant in the room, which basically tells me, and that's Ron Tolbert and Patty Mahomes right there. And fun fact, but Ron Tolbert is the R for the Super Bowl that just got released. Okay. So, wow. Just wow. We're seeing a Mahomes jersey. We got a guy. Now, obviously, this is photoshopped. Okay. Or at least we think it is. It might not be. This looks pretty legit. All right. If you look at, okay, we're not going to analyze the picture, but the writing is on the wall with this one. You can get the pun that I'm trying to make by looking at this image. Okay, you got an R, you got an NFL referee alongside Patty Mahomes, and it's funny. It brings a chuckle to my emotions whenever I see this picture because it's so funny. And it seems like week after week, everybody is talking about, and some weeks I don't see it, but I take their word for it because I have seen it firsthand, about how much the referees are influencing any given Chiefs game on any given week. And it's even more pertinent in the playoffs and making their pathway to the Super Bowl just easier and easier every year, regardless of who they play. All right. It's evident. It's evident. It's a well-known thing. It's not a controversial topic anymore to say that the Chiefs are getting helped out, a little helping hand from the referees from time to time. It's not controversial to say that. It's actually very controversial to say that. All right. It's appropriate because it is the talk of the town. People have said it time and time again. You could watch it for yourself week after week. There's usually one or two calls. You might have even seen the memes where you got the referees are wearing red and white stripes with Chiefs, imagery on their shirts and hats. It's been seen. It's been witnessed. We've seen it time and time again. I've seen it. So it's something that we have all seen. Will that be the case against the Bills and the Chiefs this weekend? I hope to hell it's not. Okay, we got a star-studded matchup. We got the two star-studded quarterbacks, like I said just a second ago, have birthed a new rivalry in the NFL, in the AFC, between the Bills and the Chiefs. That will forever be stamped, I think. In my opinion, it'll forever be stamped as a rivalry that while there is good sportsmanship involved, it's bitter to the core when it comes to the rivalry, when it comes to the football itself that's being played on the gridiron. We see it week after week. And we see it primarily when these teams meet. We do. We see it. Okay, so we're going to be looking forward to a hell of a matchup between the Bills and the Chiefs this weekend in the AFC Championship. So we got to look forward to that one. Keep our eyes on it. Keep our eyes peeled on it. We'll come back to the Bills a little bit. We'll talk about the Bills here a little bit later on. But let's do a little bit of recap. We'll talk about the Ravens and the Bills. I guess we'll stay on the topic of the Bills for now just because it's so pertinent. Okay, it's so much in, especially in my Twitter feed. I've been seeing it a lot in my Twitter feed, and that has been Mark Andrews and the drop catch of the 2-point conversion from Lamar Jackson. So it's just one of those things you hate to see it happen. As a Bills fan, you love to see it. Okay, I love to see it. But it's just one of those things, unfortunate. Getting a lot of death threats, getting a lot of stuff sent his way that's probably not the best in his case. So I don't agree with that. I think that's BS. You can pinpoint it at any given moment when it's pinpointed on any given player to essentially have the game in their hands. And multiple occasions has happened. Poor Mark Andrews. I love Mark Andrews. I really do think he is a pioneer at the tight end position. That's not to overuse the word pioneer. It's genuine when I say that. I look up to strong tight ends. He sets an example for the league. And I really respect it. Let's get to Pfeiffer's comment. We got a comment from Michael Pfeiffer. As an official yourself, do you give the benefit of the doubt to the better team like the refs do with Kansas City? So I think, and I've taken a unspoken, unwritten oath as an official to have integrity for the game, regardless of who's playing, regardless of who the home team is. And it's an unwritten, unspoken rule that you have integrity for the game. Otherwise, you don't put the stripes on. Simple as that. You don't put the stripes on. So while it has been the case time and time again, and I'm even taking the side of a lot of regular fans, regular football fans, Chiefs fans, etc. Maybe not Chiefs fans. They're fine with the calls that they're either getting or not getting. But I'd say fans of every other team in the NFL, I can speak to agreeing with them on certain things. And it seems like there's more of a trend than there is. I would like to think that these refs, these officials, and I've seen calls called against the Chiefs that have been very detrimental to them. So I think these trends are more exaggerated than may, be the truth of the matter. I think that the fans and especially fans of opposing teams will exaggerate this to be a bigger issue than it is. But when you say, do I give the benefit of the doubt to the better teams? No, I think in most cases, at least how most officials operate, is you're not giving the benefit of the doubt to any team. But if anything, those 50-50 calls, which you have them in the NFL, you have them in basketball, you have them in every sport, depending on the game and how the game is going, if you have a blowout game and you have a 50-50 call against the team that is losing by a lot, then you exhibit something called preventative officiating. So you might not make the call when it's a 50-50 call, not a blatant thing, not a obvious advantage presenting situation. So you will omit certain calls because of that, or make calls depending on the scenario. So it's not to even out the game by any means, but it's to mitigate what's going on. And you want to get issues that are going to be pertinent issues later on in the game, later on in the contest. You want to nib those in the butt as soon as possible, because you don't want them to be persistent issues down the road through even that game or throughout that season. You might see that team again, etc. So I don't give anyone the benefit of the doubt. To answer your question, I don't give anyone the benefit of the doubt. And even if it's the better team, if it's the better team, they got to prove it to me more. So in that sense, I'm not giving them the benefit of the doubt. I'm actually giving them the opposite. I want them to prove me right. Use the proper mechanics. Use the fundamentals of whatever sport you're playing to the best of your ability within the writing of the rule. Okay, do all that stuff, because if you don't, then you're showing me that either you're not the best or you don't know the extent of the rule as it's written. So I'd say on the contrary, the better teams have to prove themselves to me even more. Period. End of story. I'll leave it at that. I hope that's a nutshell. Maybe a little more, a little extra. But you get what you get. So, yeah, Josh Allen, though. Josh Allen is going to have to prove himself, because both these teams know. Both these teams know that they deserve to be here. If we had two teams playing in the Super Bowl that were from the AFC, it would probably be the Bills and the Chiefs. Okay, let's just be honest. Okay, I'm not saying that as a Bills fan. I'm not saying that as a, anti-Chiefs fan, which I'm not. I don't love the Chiefs. Don't get me wrong. And I'd say they're definitely one of the more hateable teams in the NFL. And I don't disagree with their hateability. All right. But I try to restrain myself a little bit when it comes to the hatred hurled in their direction, just because it's not professional. It's not professional to do. Okay, so Josh Allen's got to have a night. He had a night against the Ravens. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, nothing but love, nothing but respect. Okay. Mark Andrews, just to get back to Mark, he knows what he did. And let's be honest, guys. Do we really expect him to take the podium in a press conference or in a TikTok video? Now that that's back, thank God. Do we expect him to apologize for what he did? No, absolutely not. That's the game of football. It's the game of football. It happens. Okay. What do you expect him to say? Oh, guys, I'm sorry. I was afraid to get hit. I didn't want to get hit in the end zone right there. I know it was to save the game. I know it was to push overtime. But I had to protect myself. I had to think about my future. Absolutely not. I guess if you had to explain why he dropped that catch, I couldn't tell you why he dropped it. You are a trained professional, a guy that has made some of the more crazier catches at the tight end position that I've ever seen. Okay, it's bit me in the ass a lot when I've been betting against him, or maybe didn't bet on him for any time score. But Mark Andrews cannot drop that football. Okay, especially, I can't even imagine how many TVs were broken after watching that. If you're a Baltimore Ravens fan, you had to be sick about that. That was sickening. That was throw up worthy. Okay, to put it lightly. You didn't want to see that. You didn't enjoy to win the game, really, even off that, if you're a Bills fan like myself. Yes, I was happy in the moment, but you look back at it and you're like, damn, you got two of those probably in the dying embers of the game, past the 2-minute warning. You got two of those under your belt. Not great missed catches. And you're kicking yourself a little bit. Okay? It comes down to you. You have to make the play. Lamar puts the ball in your hands, gives you a great ball. a great ball for a 2-point conversion try, and you drop the ball, literally. And it's just unfortunate to see. You hate to see it, but that's a game of football. It's a game of football, period. You're going to drop passes. You're going to not make the big plays when you have to. And it comes back to the great saying, pressure either makes diamonds or breaks pipes. And that situation, pipes were broken and his house flooded. So it is what it is. Sometimes that happens, and you got to have a winner, you got to have a loser. That's football, and that's the playoffs. That's how it works. Okay, so we got to talk about a touchy subject. There's a reason that it's just me tonight, because I have some guys in my community, some guys that usually help me with the show. They will remain nameless for the sake of the situation, but it's a touchy subject. And as it is for a lot of fans, a lot of people that I know, that I associate with, that I talk sports with. It's a touchy subject no matter who you talk to, okay? But to the Detroit Lions, what the hell happened? Okay? And I'm asking that from a consensus standpoint. Now, there's a reason that I have disbanded myself from the Lions, and it is because of stuff like this. It's because of getting blindsided. It's because of exactly what the Minnesota Vikings did, actually. Sam Darnold, the crumbling of the Minnesota Vikings from within when it mattered the most to get a win. They crumbled. Okay, when it comes to the Detroit Lions, actually, look back at last year. They won more playoff games last year than they did this year. All right? Yeah, they made it further along. I guess they made it to the same stage and lost in the divisional. They failed to make it to the NFC Championship, which everyone expected them to be a shoo-in. Okay, I think everybody, and I speak for everybody when I say this, everybody, this is Lions fans or not, they underestimated Jayden Daniels and what he could do and how he could perform and how he could utilize the weapons that he had, regardless if he is a rookie in his rookie season. This guy is built for football, and nobody can take that away from him. But also, it has to be looked at. Jared Goff. Jared Goff is very suspect. Okay, and we pointed out these issues. We can go back to the tape. We've pointed out these issues that Jared Goff has showed us. I believe, and this doesn't speak for all Lions fans, but this speaks for a lot of them. I believe that they decided to turn a blind eye to a lot of these question marks that I've hinted towards. And a lot of times, a lot of situations, they've worked out to the benefit of the Detroit Lions. So they don't think about it. Okay, you go back to the Vikings game. All right. Fighting for the 1 seed or the 5 seed. You go back to that game. You can see things that are like, okay, we got away with that, but that shouldn't have happened. That should not have happened that way. Maybe those went ignored, even from the sidelines, even from the coordinators, even from Dan Campbell. A lot of these guys are just like, okay, that's Jared Goff. He's going to make those mistakes. He's not an athlete. We know he's not an athlete. He's not going to scramble out of the pocket. He's not going to do certain things a certain way, maybe like a professional athlete should. Yes, he can throw the ball. But when it comes to getting out of trouble and having the reps under his belt to get out of trouble, doesn't have them. Okay. I posted in our Discord, Jared Goff is trash when he threw the first pick. Okay. The first of 3 picks against the Commanders. And I was getting shots fired in my direction. Okay. And I swallowed my pride a little bit because right after that, they had a hell of a drive. I gave them accolades. I'm like, that was a great drive. Okay. And then it was like every other drive, it was bad. And then everything, and the bottom fell out. Okay. Then J-Mo threw a pick and Goff threw another one towards the end. Listen, you just can't do that. You can't have those kinds of mistakes. You can't have them snowball on you in a game like that where you're getting pressured so much. Let's be honest. We look at the score, 45-31 Commanders at Ford Field with a week bye as the 1 seed. I mean, there's so many things from the Lions that it screams Lions like nobody would believe. And you're not going to want to hear it. But this is part of the reason why I walked away. And this is the worst season to experience thus far since the inception as a Detroit Lions fan. This is the worst experience ever. They build you up, they give you hope, they give you promise, they give you great offensive coordinators, great defensive coordinators, like head coach that you can get behind, you would do anything for, you jump in front of a train for, and then they do this. This that we saw, this Detroit Lions team that we saw last weekend, that's not the Detroit Lions that we've seen the entire year. Okay, they had it happen in one game. You saw the writing on the wall with the Minnesota Vikings, and then they did the same thing against the Rams, right? So that was kind of a blind side, but you saw the writing on the wall. It was harder to see for the Detroit Lions because they always found a way. They always managed to make it happen regardless of the hand they were dealt, right? They could make it happen. They could do it. They could get it done. They could grit it out, and it seemed to always work out for them. And that's something I give them credit for. I give them a lot of credit for doing that. But you can only skate by and get by the skin of your teeth for so long. That luck runs out. That ran out all at once. If the Lions were a cat, which I guess they are, they used all 9 lives in one game. Okay, so that's what happened. I mean, we didn't do it last week, but we should have put them on our list of suspicious teams because they were. And I don't want to. That's the thing. I don't want to burst anybody's bubble. But for the people that are surprised, they're like, "Oh my God, how the hell did that happen?" Calm down first. Take some deep breaths. But this is what the team has been. Okay, the team has been carried on the shoulders of Sam Laporta, David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown. A lot of these guys have carried this team. Okay, they've carried this team. Jared Goff is nothing more than a facilitator, than the messenger to get the ball in the hands of the proper individuals to get the points. Okay, and he was doing a great job at that. His ability to survive and adapt to stronger defensive lines, defensive ends, and even linebackers that are going to blitz on you, and you're going to have to find a way out. It just wasn't enough. Okay, nobody wants to hear that. But there's really not much more to dissect other than this. We got to talk about Aaron Glenn. We got to talk about Ben Johnson, both of which have departed to new places. Okay. Aaron Glenn has departed for the Jets, which we all know Robert Saleh was there until now. He's joined in the NFC North, and I believe he'll be coaching alongside Ben Johnson, the OC, ex-OC for the Lions. Dan Campbell has given the people reassurance that they're going to be fine, that Jared Goff's going to be fine. He's going to grow. He's going to adapt. He's going to stay healthy. He's going to continue to enhance his skills as much as he can in the offseason. And there's been a lot of reassurance given to Lions fans with the departure of both of these great coordinators, offensive, defensive, respectively. I think it speaks to the organization too, that being the Detroit Lions, when you have 2 of your coordinators depart for head coaching positions. That's big time. That's big time. Having them both leave at the same time, that hurts. Okay, that hurts. For both of these gentlemen, big shoes to fill. They're going to have a hell of a time filling these shoes. I'm confident Dan Campbell will put the correct people in the roles to do so. And see, Dan Campbell, he is a realist. He will realize the situation that he is in, and he will survive. He will grow. He will adapt. And he will make something great out of something that might not be great. And that's exactly what he's done with the Detroit Lions. So for those people, don't give up the hope. Don't give up the faith. Keep the faith. I think this team will be something great someday. But they have a lot of issues to acknowledge, and they have a lot of problems to fix before they are great and before they can be considered great. Okay, but Aaron Glenn, Ben Johnson, they will be missed from the Detroit Lions sidelines. Ben Johnson will be seen. I mean, he will be seen in the NFC North, kind of joining the dark side. I mean, you join the Bears or even the Vikings from the Lions. I mean, it's It's tough to do. It's tough to do. Okay, you know the rivalry there. There's a rivalry, I'd say, with every team in the NFC North for the Lions. Okay, and it's going to be a game that strikes a chord, and there's going to be some familiar faces and some dapping up of certain individuals once these two teams meet later this year. So we'll look forward to that. Look forward to seeing that. But these guys are on to bigger and better things, and that's what Dan Campbell wants for his offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, because who do they have to look up to? Maybe when the going gets tough, or maybe when it's like, okay, well, so-and-so put me in this position so I could be here. Okay, all those accolades go to Dan Campbell. So you can't take that away from him. So big pat on the back for Dan Campbell, the man Dan. Just a great guy. Great guy. Let's look at, that was the last week. We got to talk about the NFC Championship. Okay, we forgot to talk about it. We didn't forget about it. We just put it back on the back burner for a second. Okay, the NFC Championship. Now it's between the Commanders and the Eagles. Okay, maybe a matchup you didn't expect. Maybe a matchup you didn't think was even possible. Not even on paper. Not given the star-studded rookie season that this amazing quarterback Jaden Daniels has achieved. Okay, this amazing team that Dan Quinn has put together, basically defying all the odds and making it this far. Okay, you got Brian Robinson Jr. just doing great work on the ground, and he's really grown into his own self as a player, as a running back, and I'm happy with what I'm seeing. Terry McLaurin just doing great things. Austin Eckler coming out of the dust. Zach Ertz becoming just the most reliable guy on the field a lot of times. Okay, and countless others that make up this Washington team. And I tell you what, this would be the coldest thing. If they show up on the field against the Eagles in Philadelphia, wearing the retro Redskins helmets. Okay, maybe even put Redskins on your shirt. People will go crazy for that. Okay. Will they do it? Probably not. Okay, but that is coming. That's coming. That's coming. The woke agenda is going to the wayside, right? We see that. We see that day after day. And it's a breath of fresh air. It's very refreshing. But back to football. The Eagles are the Eagles. We know who the Eagles are. Nick Sirianni has proven himself as a quarterback caliber, or a Super Bowl caliber coach. And he's going to do what he has to do for his team. He's going to put the right people in the right roles. Now, yeah, you're going to deal with some drama. Okay, we've seen A.J. Brown reading a book a couple weeks back on the sidelines. Maybe not the best look. Maybe we got some team drama going on. Maybe it's some Jimmy Butler syndrome that's leaking over into the NFL. Maybe some A.J. Brown in there, some CTE, ESPN. We're seeing it happen all over the sports landscape. But listen, it's going to be Saquon Barkley. It's going to be Jalen Hurts. And it's going to be Dallas Goedert through the air. Even Dallas was probably the best thing he ever did. And listen, you got Devontae Smith. A.J. Brown's still going to have to do what he has to do if he gets any touches, right? People think he slept on, not getting any touches. If his number is called, he's going to have to perform. Okay, this Eagles team, they are great. And yes, Saquon did a lot of great things for me, especially on the fantasy side of things. But with that being said, they still have to show up and play the game of football. And that's kind of the be-all, end-all of every single game you play. Basketball, football, baseball, etc. Even throw golf in there. But basically, they have to get it done. And if they get caught sleeping, then the same thing's going to happen to the Eagles that happened to the Detroit Lions. They're going to get caught with their pants down. And they're going to get smoked at home. So who's going to show up? Who's going to play? You know the Commanders are coming to play. You know they're coming to play. They haven't been here since the 90s. Okay, so it's been a long time. It's been a long time for these Commanders. And I'm afraid that these Eagles might be a little too up high on their high horse. They don't want to come down. They want to stay up there, both mentally. Maybe the physicality physical side of it might not make up for all that mental magnitude that you got to make up. And then you got to rise to the occasion. And the physical has to meet with the mental and it has to work in harmony. So I like the Commanders here. I really do. I like their chances. I like their poise. Okay. I like their belief in the game, their belief in the man upstairs. It's very important to them. And that's something that's inspiring. It's inspiring to the fans, inspiring to lovers of the game. Okay. So Commanders, Eagles, going to be a shootout. I like the Commanders odds. Give me Washington with the points. Okay. We don't even know the spread. Just give me them with the points. So today's a day that will live in infamy. We know that we're gonna deal with it as we have to, just as adults. But just looking forward, we got the semis and then we're done. Football is done. Okay, then you got the USFL, which I might actually have to get into because I don't know if I can go. What is it? 8 months without football? 6, 7 months? 8 months? It's a long time. So we're gonna have to take pride in it. We got college basketball that is coming to an end. Too here in March, couple months. Still got a lot of games left, a lot of regular season, a lot of conference. So that's going to ramp up here on the GCP front. But as far as NFL, this is kind of building up towards the end, as we know, with the semis, with the AFC Championship, with the NFC Championship. 4 teams remain. And we need the Bills to go all the way, baby. Come on. Where's my Bills Mafia? I know I got a couple of them out there, okay, locally. We've been riding with Josh Allen. We've been hoping and praying for a Super Bowl the last couple of years. Hasn't panned out. I think this could be their year to do it. You get past the Chiefs, all right, then it's between you and maybe the Commanders. People are saying that's the Super Bowl people want, is the Commanders and the Bills. I don't know if they're telling the truth or they're blowing smoke. But either way, that would be a hell of a Super Bowl. I think everyone would love to see that. And it'd be a breath of fresh air to see those two teams battling it out for the Super Bowl, for the Lombardi Trophy. I would love to see it. But we'll have to wait and see what happens, how everything pans out going down the stretch. But it's going to be a good one. We'll have to have someone else on here just to kind of chop it up. Wanted to give it some time for the Lions fans, buddies of mine. Got to let the dust settle. On stuff like that. So I'm sure we'll have Rocco and Moneric back on here very shortly, very soon. But that brings us to the end of the show for tonight. Make sure to check us out on social media. All of our links are at the bottom of the podcast in the description. Check us out on our website, ginsportsnetwork.com, and on Instagram at gincollege. Also, the date. I just heard this from the Corona Franchise of Events. They hit my line earlier today. Got the graphic produced and made. The date of the Gin Sports Network Challenge, the GSN Challenge 6, has been made, has been set in stone. It's going to be September 13th, 2025. The registration link will be released later this week or possibly early next week. So be on the lookout for that on all of our social media channels. And we'll see you here right back next time on the Double Coverage Podcast, the premier NFL podcast of the Gin Sports Network. For now, I'm John Jay II. Have a great night.